real?
Yeah, I was stretching.
Do you want to talk with Erland or Havoc first?
I'll talk to Erland first.
Alrighty. Uh, and you wanted it to still be on the topic we had discussed last night, right?
Uh, yeah.
Do you remember?
uh, uh,
Here, I'll
uh,
reply to it.
no. Fuck you. Uh, yes. Good. Yes, good.
So
Yes, good.
maybe Esmond initially approaches Erland.
Yes. I wouldn't call it a date.
I was it's a quote unquote date, not an actual
Sure.
date, you know.
Like it's a call it a date, not date. It's a call it a date, not date.
Right, sure.
Yeah,
Whatever makes you feel best, husband.
that makes me feel best.
uh, all right. Well, Esmond, over the last couple days, as first repairs are done, and then construction truly begins on multiple projects at once, uh, it's very stressful. Um, you are constantly getting stopped to ask questions about the placement of of how exactly the roads should be laid, how wide they should be, and you going, "Why are you asking me this? You should be asking the expert."
Yeah, why don't you go
It's
ask, I don't know,
the
the
road
blind
maker.
girl.
Yeah. But it is a whole lot of every single person double checking every single detail. Double checking your plans for layouts, asking how certain patrols should be handled. Everyone always has something to say to you. Uh, you do not get much time to yourself during this time period. Sadly. um, but on one particularly nerve frazzling evening, do you think you would have pre requested to speak with Erland? You know, maybe in passing been like, can we talk tonight? Or is this a spur of the moment thing?
For the moment.
All right. Uh,
It's Esmond is over this
mm hmm.
and needs a break. What a good excuse.
uh, well, it seems that Erland has just gotten back from helping with some finer details. What would Erland even be helping with? A water purification system.
Sure, why not?
Sure. That's something towns need. Uh, but Erland has just gotten back, is saying goodbye to some of the people that they've been working with. And you currently, as far as you can tell, don't have anybody running after you to speak with you.
It's because he's sneaking around,
Yeah.
trying to remain unseen by anyone. And it's working so
Roll
far.
stealth.
Actually, I will.
Do
Like,
it.
straight up.
Do it.
Wait,
Yeah, are you
where's my
gonna give
dice?
yourself inspiration?
I can't inspire myself,
Oh,
actually.
true. I was forgetting
Yeah, bards can't inspire themselves. Haha, fuck.
that.
Well, it's a eight.
All right. In that case, uh, right as you think you're doing pretty good. You think you've got it under control. No one's noticed you. No one's called out to you. You're in the clear. But right as you are approaching from behind Erland, about to maybe clear your throat, say something, tap on a shoulder, uh, you hear someone behind you calling your name, and you're ready to maybe grit your teeth, turn around and deal with whatever issue this is. Uh, but Erland turns at the sound of your name being called as well, sees you, and then kind of raises their eyebrows at a villager approaching. I think that Esmond and I have some business we have to take care of right now. Is this a matter that could wait? The villager kind of mutters quietly about checking how much space there should be between the beds in the longhouse. But then,
Bruh.
then eventually leaves.
I am beyond such little. Man, I need to like assign like a quartermaster or some shit.
Truly.
Okay.
But Erlen kind of glances down at you and raises an eyebrow inquisitively.
Um. Um. Thank you for that.
Of course. You look rather frazzled.
Oh, just tired. It's. Did you know that a lot of people actually have nocturnal sleep schedules and need various things at various different times when they perceive you to have some monochrome of legitimacy in validating what they're doing?
I certainly have heard of people being nocturnal. It sounds like you are being expected to never sleep, from what you're saying.
I I think that a lot of people just everything's happening so quickly now, and I'm just so. I would like to go 5 minutes without somebody running up behind me when I've just finished a task and I guess asking me a million other questions of things I don't really have the answers to. I sort of feel like a foreman on like a boat, like a shipwright.
A foreman on a boat. Yes. Have you ever been on a boat before?
No, actually I haven't, but I'm very well read.
Fair enough. Well, it
Uh,
certainly
yeah,
sounds like you need some form of a break.
doesn't it? And you standing over here, happen to be doing what exactly?
Well, I was going to, possibly relax a little bit.
Sounds great. Let's go.
See if a certain somebody was free.
Oh well, right. So I'll let you
And it
check if they're
seems
free.
that he is rather free, or is at least looking for something to do. So I suppose I'm rather busy now.
Well, I suppose I can come back later.
I'm
In that
referring
case,
to you, Esmond.
I know. It's just I'm being quirky.
In a silly, goofy mood, are you? Attention.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
I'm
I
teasing you. Come on.
no, I know. It's welcome. It is. What were you planning on doing exactly to achieve this relaxation?
Well, I was going to come and pester you in your office, but it seems that if we go there, we will not go undisturbed.
No,
So,
see, Erland, that's the primary location. That's where I
mm-hmm.
am often taken from in order to be transported by various individuals to a secondary location, and then a tridary location, and then so on and so forth until I return to the primary location and the cycle begins once more.
Of course.
So,
How
uh,
about instead then? How would you feel about a little walk?
will you hold my hand?
If you need hand holding, certainly.
Yeah, recently I've been having trouble seeing in the dark, and the forest quite gloomy.
Of course. Well, I am capable of creating light, and I have reason to think. I feel like I remember you making light before. But if you
Again,
would really need a hand to hold in the dark,
well, again,
I get rather
Erland,
nervous in the darkness too. So.
haven't you heard, Erland? I've been having impotency issues with my divine heritage.
Well, I mean, I suppose we could test some of that out, but a walk would
The,
probably be better.
the impotency or the racial abilities?
Don't elaborate.
Okay. Okay. um, sure. Sure. Yeah, I don't know what I'm agreeing. Yeah, sure. Would be glad to. Let's. I feel like a tingling on the back of my neck, like somebody's about to rush up behind me. So maybe we just get going. Esmond just starts walking very quickly down the hill.
Erlen catches up to you rather easily, uh, walking at a less hurried pace than you, but longer legs. So it's a little
How
bit.
tall is Roland?
Let me go double check. I'm looking at the wrong tab. Beep 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 beep. Erland is 6'10".
Jesus fuck.
Yeah, did you forget?
Dude, how did Tori get such shit genes? I guess not shit genes, but you know what I mean.
Truly, well, they're cousins, so.
Yeah.
Uh,
Damn.
but, they head, down the hill and into the forest with you. It's starting to get, truly dark. The actual light of the sun has disappeared, and there's just faint sunset colors on one horizon, slowly sinking further and further. And the stars are beginning to become visible as you two stroll into the woods, uh, trading back small pleasantries back and forth. So, besides the stress of leadership and responsibility, anything else going on?
Mm. Uh, I don't. I'm not quite sure that I have enough time for anything else to be going on exactly. That is the primary cause. The primary thing that is taking up most of my time. Just to be clear, I would like it if other things could take up my time, but I sort of forgot that in attempting this, that I I'm trying to think of what to say here because I want it to be good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just attempting to do what I believe is best and what I've learned in a sparse 24 years is not the longest time, admittedly, but I'm so constantly trying to do right by these people and give them somewhere that they can thrive, and maybe I'll fail again, and maybe I'll make the incorrect choices, and in a moment I won't, I don't know, afford myself the same courtesy that I did all those people who I tried to listen to and who I tried to get to trust me and tried to get some sort of allegiance on in bringing them here to be trusted with something like a home.
Can I
It's
ask?
a...
Oh, go ahead.
no, sorry.
No, no. You continue.
I didn't expect this position of leadership. That I'd need to take one. I I fell into this position. Or I didn't fall, rather. I forgot that founders of places just often have responsibilities placed on their shoulders. This doesn't feel like power, it feels like responsibility.
Well, in a way, power is responsibility. And sure, you can lessen that by delegating things to people, but then there is still the responsibility upon you of choosing appropriate people to delegate things to.
Fair enough.
I understand what you're saying about not expecting to be put into this position, but at the same time, you were the one who invited everyone here. Of course, they all look to you as a leader.
Right. You know, part of me, well, most of me, all of me knew that it feels wrong almost to be, I guess, faced with someone like you, someone like Shoshen, someone like Maya even, and be expected to make decisions that impact people like you, people like Shoshen and people like Maya. Because you're so much more, I don't know, experienced than me. You've seen so much more of this world than me for so much longer than I have, and what can I give these people?
Esmond, I would. While someone might have more experience in some senses than you, from what I've heard tell from Maya, you're the only one of any of us who have experience in any form of leadership. I don't know the details, of course, but from what Maya has indicated, and even from what you've indicated, this is not your first attempt at such a place. I don't know anything about any other ones you might have had, but you clearly have enough experience to know some places where to start, and to at least have the connections that is starting to help this place flourish. And sometimes that's what it takes to become a leader, to have the connections, to be the person to find and seek out all the experts and people who might understand the finer details. The person in charge has to be able to look at a little bit of everything. And I think that you're good at understanding people. You're good at being a voice to look to have faith in. You have a way of empowering people, of inspiring hope, of encouraging people and also figuring out what drives them. While you may not view yourself as a leader, I think you certainly are. And I think everyone around you also sees you as a leader. You don't have to be the best at something to be that. What matters is trying.
You know, everybody keeps telling me that I'm just doing my best.
And you're doing good.
Thank you. You're, You know, I don't actually know if she's your former or your current boss. To be fair, she's quite a lot.
Havoc.
Yeah.
She certainly is something.
Something is a way of putting it, yes.
For all of her skills, Havoc is not a people person. She is not good with honeyed words or bargaining or anything of that sort.
Perhaps she should endeavor to get better at it.
She's the type that believes actions speak louder than words. That's more a difference in thought and the way of approaching problems.
Words are actions.
And in that way, you two differ greatly. If you're trying to compare yourself to her, keep in mind that she's had opportunities where she could have remained somewhere, become a leader, where people might have adored her and liked having her around and all those things. But she could never dedicate herself to something like that. She never had the drive, never had the ability, nor the passion, nor the compassion for people. You do. At least, certainly much more than her. Enough to want to make a place safe not only for you, but for others as well.
My God, I'm gonna kiss them. How old is she?
I
Do you know?
don't know. She's aged in the time that I've known her, that's for sure.
Sure. Do you have any advice on speaking to her?
She always speaks. There's always the clearly visible meaning of what she's saying, and then an under meaning. Something under the current. So, to your face, she might say something that seems like an insult, but at the same time, it's a compliment, and also vice versa. She deals in twos and in double-sided comments. So it's hard to get a feeling of how she truly feels about someone. But trust me, once she truly dislikes someone, she will not be shy about making it completely known.
Evidently.
From what I've heard so far, she certainly hasn't gone to that point.
With me, you mean?
Yes.
So she hasn't gotten to that point, or she has?
She has not, from what I've heard.
Right. Wonderful. I've invited her to speak with me.
Oh,
Hmm.
what about?
I want to know her. I think.
What are you hoping to glean from it?
Humanity, I suppose.
You don't think she has humanity?
I find it difficult to grasp her humanity when the only sort of experiences that I have with her have been informed by the preface of knowing that she hurt someone I care about. Hurt her for doing something stupid, maybe, but
Certainly doesn't seem that Alice has held a grudge. At least not for the injury aspect. From what I understood of the conversation, Alice seemed more put out about the fact that she was called out on her behavior.
right, yes, but this isn't about how Alice feels, this is about how I feel.
No, Esmond, I know that. I get that you're angry about this. But to speak as someone who knows Havoc, who knows how she thinks, she is not to make a strange metaphor, but she is a large creature that when somebody messes with too much, instead of mauling that person like other beings of her type might, she gives a single warning strike and then lets that person decide if they wish to continue. She doesn't jump straight to murder or horrible maiming. She will strike once, make it clear what her consequences are, what her boundaries are, and then leave you to decide how you want to handle that.
Roland.
Yes.
I am sorry for snapping, but that is not what this is about. At all. In the slightest.
You just said it was.
I told you I would like to know Havoc as a person, and the only experience I have with her is one where I cannot help through my own habits perceive her as somebody who has done harm to someone that I love, and somebody who has come to somewhere that I'm very protective of and begun imposing these broad statements and expectations of conduct on somewhere that was supposed to be, I don't know, free of all this bullshit.
I see what you're saying, Esmond, but I think that in this moment, you are allowing yourself to be blinded. I have been
Roland.
through. Listen to me. I've been
No,
through
please,
multiple towns.
would you please listen to me?
All right.
I want to talk to her, to know her as a person, because right now all I feel towards her is anger, and I want to know her, and I want to try and comprehend her as more than just this faceless woman
And if
who's
you
done these things.
and if
I'm
you
trying to
want
have a conversation with her and talk to her.
and if you want to do I'm not dissuading you from that.
It sounds like you're chastising me.
If you want to give her a chance to understand someone's humanity, you have to at least temporarily set aside that anger. Do you know how many towns I've been in where a child would reach out and grab a single apple from a stall and get their hand chopped off for that? I know you're upset by Alice being hurt. I get that. It is upsetting. But in the grand scheme of how people behave, it is such a minor thing. And you're allowing it to blind yourself in a way that could damage the people around you.
Blinding myself, blinding me, right? What am I doing? What do you perceive me as doing that you think is
I am only going off of...
blinding?
You just yourself have said that you cannot perceive her humanity because of how angered you are about
So I'm going
Alice
to
being
try.
hurt. That is what I am encouraging to do.
That's what I've been saying. He just stares at Erland.
So you're angry at me for saying that I think you should give her a chance and try to understand where she's coming from.
And you're angry at me because you think that's not exactly what I'm doing when it is precisely what I'm trying to tell you I'm doing.
You've said that you're trying to do that, but I've explained why you cannot, so I've attempted to make it easier.
I perceive her in that way, so I'm having her here to have a conversation with her so I can know her better and she can loan humanity to herself by being a person to me rather than just a collection of memories and concepts I've associated with her.
You're talking in circles, Esmund.
I want to have a business relationship with her, if a positive one that isn't clouded by the opinion I have of her right now. I'm trying to set aside those unpleasant associations and thoughts.
And I'm trying to help you. To be clear, you have said to me that you want to give her a fair chance to understand her, but that you are clouded by your anger. Thus, I tried to explain some more, not only my perspective, but other people's perspective on this matter to help you get rid of some of that cloudiness so that when you speak with her, you might have a clearer mind and be better able to understand what your actual perception of her will be, rather than tinged by other people's words.
Erland. You know Nemesis, yes?
Yes, I do.
Nemesis is a criminal, yes?
Yes.
Probably killed people.
Your point?
Not mine to forgive. Mine to help. My judgment of him clouded when I met him. Criminal, bad person, terrible. Sat down, had a conversation with him, not so bad a person. Certainly a troubled person, certainly a difficult person. But I sat down and had a conversation with him, and I understood him, and I wanted to help him, and I was sympathetic to him. That is what I am trying to do with Havoc. I want to be sympathetic towards her.
I don't have anything against that.
That's what I've been saying this entire time. Please listen to me. Please.
Esmund, you brought up the topic to me. You asked about her. I explained what I understood about her, and then you got angry at me.
No, because you took different things from what it doesn't matter anymore. It's fine. Never mind. Never mind. Thank you for your insight, Erland.
I want to be able to have good conversations with you, Esmund. If you're going to ask me a question and then get angry when I answer, I don't want to be asked questions.
Sure.
I hope it goes well. And they turn and kind of stride away deeper into the forest. Ooh,
Bruh.
wow.
Can I explain to you what Esmond was explaining and what he was like mad about?
Yeah, sure.
He was like, because the order of events was like, what? How would you advise like help talk to, to Havoc? And he was like, they were like, well, this, and this, and he's like, okay, well, here's where I'm starting. I'm having her over, and the only like I just have all these associations with her of like her being a bad person and like hurting someone I care about and kind of imposing herself in this place that I thought was like meant to be ours, like
Mm-hmm.
the communities, but then she's suddenly here and she's saying all these things and I don't really like her. I dislike her actively. But I'm having this conversation with her because I want to bring some humanity to her and try and like understand her better and try to see her as more than just this concept I've made up in my head because of bad experiences or what I perceive as bad experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And then Erland was like, "You're blowing this out of proportion. Your judgment is clouded." And they were getting like really heavy with it. And Esmond was like, "Uh, uh, that's what I mean. I mean that. That's what I mean. Please, 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 please. That's what I mean. That's what I meant. I'm not
er-
like
Erlin's thing. Oh, God.
he's like because Esmond was like, yes, I am like mad at her and I perceive her as a bad person, but also I understand that it's because I'm angry at her and because she did this thing that I can't see past it, but I want to try. And that's why I'm having this conversation with her because I want to like sit down and have that conversation with her and be sympathetic towards her as a person rather than a collection of bad memories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Erlin perceived of it. Was Esmond explaining this problem, explaining that I want to meet with Havoc. I want to, you know, get a better understanding of her and understanding her humanity and stuff. But I'm clouded by my feelings of this first interaction she had with someone I cared about. So
Yeah.
Erland understood that, and Esmond asking them about Havoc as looking for help with trying to maybe get rid of some of that clouding anger so that Esmond could approach this talk with more of an even head, able to look at it a bit more neutrally and understand things
And
from
Esmond was
from either
getting
side.
Yeah, and Esmond was getting frustrated at that because he'd already kind of gone over that with himself to be more even-headed.
Yeah, what Erlen understood is that Esmond was looking for help with that, since Esmond kept saying, "I can't let go of the anger."
Oh, he meant that he can't let go of it, so he's doing this to solve it. He wasn't
Yes.
necessarily looking.
What?
He was like looking for advice on how to talk to Havoc, and then he was just trying to like talk himself through it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
then he
that's
snapped at
that's
Erlen that first time because he was like, "Everyone keeps telling me that Alice doesn't give a shit about it, but I do, and I can't help it,
mm-hmm.
and I'm going to express that to somebody who isn't Maya or somebody that like is affiliated with the like the main party
Mm.
because Erland's safe. I can talk to Erland about things. This will be fine."
Because
Haha.
what Erland saw it as was Esmond saying, "I can't get rid of this anger," and how Erland had originally planned to lay it out before, getting snapped at, which Erland never takes kindly to being yelled at. Erland will always respond very aggressively to that. Uh, but, but, Erland's line of logic that they were trying to explain to Esmond was, well, first of all, Alice doesn't care that much, but I see and understand why it bothers you. But you also have to consider that the world around us is inherently very violent. And Havoc did that, yes, but that was such a minority in the scale of things that other people do and that Havoc herself has done.
That also pissed Esmond off.
Well, it's a fact.
It is a reality, but he's also a stubborn bitch who doesn't want to settle for that as reality. He wants better. And it's like the sense of like what you're going through is like bad things happen to people everywhere. It's like, yeah, but they don't have to happen here.
Yes, but what Erland was saying was that by blowing this up so much, it was only encouraging that clouding anger and would make it more and more difficult to try and approach Havoc neutrally, to better understand what he actually thought of her. You know?
Yeah.
Two people get angry at each other.
Wow,
One yells at the other. The other one goes, "Okay, fuck you."
Man,
I love they.
why did they have to fight? It's just a miscommunication and a differing of ideals.
Yeah. Erlen just
Ah,
doesn't like being yelled at.
imagine. Esmond was gonna end that as Erlen walked away with a fuck off.
uh, that would have changed some things, but
Well, no, because you started talking, I think, out of character,
Mhm.
and so I didn't get to say the fuck off.
No, I meant that would have changed a lot of future things if you had said "fuck off."
Oh,
If we want, we can say you did it.
what kind of future things?
Some of the things we've discussed. Here, I'll talk to you.
Um, hello?
Oh, I accidentally put it in the bot channel.
Oh, that's fine. Oh boy. Is that gonna like occur soon?
uh, I'm not commenting on anything while I'm in the recording.
Right, fair enough. Um, and by that, I do mean that penguins are being made canon.
Truly, dinosaurs
Um,
too. But do you think Esmond would have yelled that?
he wouldn't have yelled it. It would have been more of like a
Under his breath kind of deal?
passive under his breath, sort of like rolling his eyes, standing there, pissed off, kind of fuck off. Like more of the oh, like an oh fuck off. Yeah. Hee hee, they can go on a date in the woods and talk about Esmond's stress. Great, now he's more stressed.
Hold on.
I want to redo. Delete the recording. I want to redo. Delete the recording. I want to redo.
Well, if you want, depending how the Havoc talk goes, we can do another Erlen talk after that if you really want.
I'll cry. It feels too self-indulgent, but yes.
Did you see what else I said?
No, what did you say?
Come look.
Oh. We don't have to record that one. Sunflower seeds. Okay. Well,
But do you think the Havoc meeting would be like, oh, I don't know, in the morning?
sure.
The morning after that?
Yeah. As Erlin's like storming away, Esmond to their back just like throws up two fucking birds
You,
to get his anger
you
out,
sure?
not for them
Okay.
to see.
Yep.
What? He can't. They can't see that. He doesn't do that.
I don't know if you forgot about that bit, but
Look.
uh, but uh, do you think do you think Esmond would have slept well after that conversation and knowing the little meeting with Havoc is in the morning?
No. He never sleeps well though, so.
True. Do you think that this conversation with Havoc is before or after the conversation with Alice about Havoc?
Before.
Before? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
Or no, it's after.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Alrighty.
Alrighty.
Roy. In that case, you have not seen Erland in Armath once since then. You didn't see them return for the night, but also, at a certain point, you went into your room, so you don't know for sure. And you also didn't see them about in the morning when people were serving out breakfast and the like. But you don't really know for sure. Feywild people do what Feywild people do.
Sure.
But a couple hours into the morning, probably about 9, 10 a.m., a call goes up. Excuse me. Sorry. That's what the call is. No.
Yeah.
That there is a horse and rider approaching. And you come out to see riding into camp on I don't know, a bay horse.
Oh, I know my horses.
Oh, I know them too.
Esmond does too.
We we all three shake hands in horse.
Yeah.
But but Havoc rides up, dismounts from her horse, who she ties to one of the fence posts that's been erected recently.
That was a joke laugh, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Aha,
Fuck.
erected.
See, I thought that you were doing that about something else there. Anyways.
What? Oh, ha.
But Havoc kind of seems to glance around the camp and sees you. And begins striding your way. Her little, all of her draping fabrics kind of fluttering a bit as she's got a very purposeful walk. Not like an angry walk, but like I am on a mission walk.
Sure. Esmond just looks tired.
And she walks up to you. So, you didn't really elaborate much on wanting to talk.
Good morning to you too. Did you come alone?
No, I have Spectre just outside the camp, but a little someone ran into us and begged Spectre to go hunting, so they're just at the edge.
That's fine then, I suppose. You've spoken to Powell some, haven't you?
Minimally.
Okay.
I figured you wouldn't take horribly kindly to that, so I tried to keep it as little as possible while still making sure that the kid didn't feel ignored.
Well, kids will do what they do, so... I am bothered by it, but not terribly.
Mm-hmm.
or at least that's the current goal that we're trying to achieve. Preferably this conversation won't happen out in the middle of this field, so if you'd like to come with me.
Are we heading to your office that's been set up? I heard a little bit about that.
It's an office, not my office.
Mm-hmm.
Or rather, it's just a room for very. We don't have administration right now. But yes, this way.
I'm curious what sort of position name you'll choose. Will it be an alderman? Will it be
Oh,
a mayor?
for myself. I'm fine with just. It's leadership isn't particularly something that I fall into terribly easily. I think that whatever people want to call me, they can just call me that.
I'd say you fall into it quite naturally from what I've seen.
Is she being genuine?
You can roll an insight check.
Three.
uh, it's definitely holding to what Erland said about her, with something seeming both like an insult and a compliment at the same time.
Right. Makes sense. Thank you. I think.
Your people seem to trust you, so that's always a good sign. I think, at least, of a good leader, if everyone seems to trust them. Especially in
Seems
a
to.
close knit, small group like this.
Do you consider yourself the leader of your little
Uh,
band?
I certainly don't make decisions alone, but I'm certainly the person most comfortable with talking and handling situations. So after years of the rest being content to step back and let me talk for the group, it's just kind of naturally developed that way.
Sure. But yeah, I'll lead her to the space.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't entirely set up. It's like it's mostly finished inside. There's still like some exposed ceilings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like been some furniture moved in. Hastily made the stuff that was in Esmund's tent,
Mm-hmm.
like the tables and stuff, the carpets, moved into that room instead.
Yeah.
And so it's like a little bit uh cozy, just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's like a wood burning stove and like all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And the wood burning stove is on.
Yo.
I'm not trying to. Anyways, uh, yeah. Uh, I'll put a kettle on.
She seems to pause a bit at the room and the vibes, but eventually dips her head a bit and waits.
There's like seats and stuff. She can sit if she wants to.
She seems to be largely waiting to see what seat you prefer.
Okay, I sit on a seat. It's not like a head chair or anything. It's just
Mm.
a chair.
Yeah, I was kind of assuming it was like a bit of a mixed match set of chairs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So she was essentially just waiting to see which one you preferred, because it's your space.
How polite.
Yeah. And then she chooses whatever chair is positioned close enough to be like essentially across from you.
Right. Uh, but let me let me think. Um, Havoc.
Yeah.
The reason that I asked you here was because, as of recent, I've been given the opportunity to reflect on various things, but mostly my most closely held convictions and how, in the mess of time and peril, I've somewhat abandoned the idea which initially afforded me enough favor with people to have them trust me with something like this, like a home. And so in that, I wanted to try, I guess, remembering what those ideals were, and that sort of patience that I had, that before all this stress of, once again, peril and bullshit clouded my better judgment. I just sort of want to know you better, if you want to be known, I suppose.
I certainly don't mind getting to know each other better. We're going to be neighbors for a period of time, so it'll probably be best for everyone.
Wouldn't it? And the like kettle starts to boil, so Esmond will get up
Mm-hmm.
and he will take it off the flame. And he will make 2 cups
Mm-hmm.
of tea.
Mm-hmm.
Um, kind of in a similar gesture to what he'd do for like when his dad was working out in the garden, sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and like put it on tray, bring it out deal.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be like 3 cups, but now it's 2. And he brings it over and puts it down on like the little table
Mm-hmm.
and sits back down. Why does my music keep pausing? This sucks.
So sorry, King.
It's okay. The inscription music was getting too foreboding for me. I needed to be calm.
Thus the frozen lands from Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yes, exactly. um. Fuck. Blah.
You'll...
Yeah. And I will, yeah, sit back down. If we're going to be working in some capacity with one another, or at least we're to be even mildly affiliated, especially with my son unheeding to my wishes for him not to go skulking off into dank holes in the ground to speak with your ranger friend, I do think it would be best for us to have some kind of familiarity with one another outside transactional pursuits, and outside whatever antagonizing we decide to deliver one another in front of our friends.
All right.
One sec. I need to put it on YouTube because it keeps pausing on Spotify.
Well, guess what? I'm playing it over the bot right now.
Let's fucking go! Come here, baby. Okay, cool. Man, you're really letting me lead this whole conversation. I suppose I just want to try and grasp the reason for your distaste on me.
I have seen a lot of places. I've met a lot of people. Met a lot of leaders, both good and bad. I cannot tell you the amount of leaders I've met, of little towns, of big towns, the head of a single household out in the wilderness that I've met that are idealistic. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, of course. But I cannot help but to tell you that every single time they have either had to abandon, to some degree, those morals to properly be able to defend their people, or they've gotten all their people killed because of their inability to sacrifice what needs to be sacrificed to protect the people that they have responsibility for. You're not somebody who likes violence or forcefulness. That's fine. But in my eyes, a leader, someone who people depend on, cannot be that.
Have you considered that outlook and that opinion is one that can completely and utterly and justifiably be held by you and maybe the people that you affiliate with, but not by the people who have come to live here?
No, I know that. My problem is that I cannot tell you how upsetting it is to see people die over and over again because I stay out of it when asked to. Eventually, you get fed up. I don't blame you for not liking violence, for wanting to do things agreeably. I agree with a lot of that. But I also know that some people, some things, will not listen to anything but the language of violence. Or at least won't start listening to peace and words until it is far too late.
I mean, you grew up in Nexus, didn't you? Same as I did.
Yes.
I don't think that is... I don't think that's an uncommon belief. You know, to have experienced violence and forcefulness, as you put it, in a lifetime, especially one spent on this plane. So I understand where you are coming from and the trepidation you have towards this idealistic pursuit, and I'm familiar with the concept that a utopia is only a utopia on the surface, and peeling back whatever surface level you have reveals something dreadful. But I don't think that the attempt to create an idyllic society has necessarily turned to insanity in the definition of the word, of, well, idiocy being doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. I've only done this once before, and it didn't fail for the reasons that you're implying.
I'm not implying you failed or anything. And I'm not remotely implying that people shouldn't strive for a perfect society, an idyllic society, one where there isn't the need for this kind of violence. Maybe once upon a time, if things were good, the world was like that. But right now, even if there weren't so many fucking shitty people in the world, we need to be able to defend ourselves. We need to be ready at all times. Things can happen at a moment's notice, such as the aftershock, such as strange things out in the woods coming after your people, such as bandits who decide that a town that preaches no violence is easy pickings, and they're right. It's a sad fact, but it is a fact. So, my view is that there needs to be either some form of balance between the two, or you take the approach that I take. Someone makes a move against you, you hit once, you make it clear, and you leave it at that.
Everybody keeps. A lot of people keep bringing that up to me, and honestly, I'd prefer to not discuss your methods, at least in reference to that.
Then what about your methods? You have, what, 5, 6 fighters, really, here at this camp? A few people who can fight but certainly aren't trained for it? What would you have done during the aftershock as your people fell one by one? I don't say this to guilt you, but to simply point out that it is needed.
The aftershock could have happened anywhere, could have happened to more prepared people, less prepared people, but it happened to a blooming settlement on the edge of a hill that had arrived not all that long ago without, pre-established defenses around its perimeter, without people who were, prepared for what may come. People who were trying to establish farmlands and, make a good meal to keep everyone moving so they could keep working on things that would keep them safe. So I suppose if they had fallen one by one, then it would have been due to terrible extraneous circumstance.
But that's the thing. It's not extraneous. This is Nexus. Crazy shit happens all the time, no matter where you are.
Havoc. I mean this in the most gentle way, but what would you have me do?
First of all, I saw your face when me and my people showed up during the aftershock. Certainly you didn't turn us away, but you thought about it. I don't blame you for that, and I don't think people are required to like me or like how I do things. But if you're going to be a voice for representing people, whether you're in charge of protecting them or not, you are representing them. You need to be ready to make sacrifices to put those people first. I make plenty of sacrifices to support my people. Of course, that's different than leading a town, but if you're going to be a leader, you have to be ready for that kind of thing.
You didn't answer the question, not really. You said I have to make sacrifices, but what have I not sacrificed at this point? You say that I have to make sacrifices, but
You ask
what?
what I expected you to do. What I expect from a leader is being able to work with people they dislike, which you have begrudgingly done after, from what I understand, quite a bit of convincing from various people, which I congratulate you on. It can be difficult getting past personal feelings on things, so it's a step in the right direction. It's something I have to deal with and struggle with. It's something anyone does. But just because you view violence as something so abhorrent doesn't mean you should look down on people for it, whether you realize it or not. You've got this horrible superiority about you that makes people around you feel horribly judged for the choices they need to make.
I think that might be a personal complex.
Not according to other people.
Like who?
I've had a few people come by.
Who?
What? So you can judge them more.
I want.
I can tell it just from the tone in your voice.
Just tell me.
Did you judge your brother this much
No.
for the choices he had to make?
I'm doing this because of my brother.
And yet you judged me and my people just at the face value that once upon a time we were in the same situation.
When did I judge you?
You did from the start, from the moment of realizing I was faceless.
I was. I have absolutely no idea how I am so often misconstrued and misinterpreted. Havoc, I wasn't judging your violence, not in a way that is, as you put, some sort of superiority. I'm not an idiot. I see the necessity of violence in certain areas, but it's sort of tragic, I suppose, that people need that sort of violence, and the place that they acquire the knowledge of that violence is somewhere like where you did. It was resignation, not judgment. I would not judge someone for a belief or an ideal or a practice that they have had instilled in them from when they were born. Cap.
Yeah.
Ah! It's okay. Nothing was in there.
Good. You dropped something.
Yeah, I dropped my big water bottle, but I drank it all, so let's fucking go.
She kind of leans forward in her chair, kind of putting her elbows on her knees and putting her hands pointing down. So why did you want to meet with me? You say you want to get along, to be on at least neutral or good terms. But every time I've ever spoken with your people, I've ever been here, I've tried to help. We came of our own accord to help during the aftershock. We brought you enchanted necklaces to help with any possible illness which you might have had, which apparently did exist here. We've offered to teach people more about the Aesorite that you've chosen to live next to. We've brought elaborate enchanted barriers to protect your settlement.
You
We have done everything we can to be as friendly as possible.
you know that bit you were telling me about settlements, towns, and cities large and small that you'd been to who had had these ideals and they'd always failed in some capacity. And that's your experience.
Not all of them failed, but certainly most of the ones with that sort of idealism. Those that didn't fail changed their ideals.
Well, that's your experience, and my experience is that everything has a price. People always want something, or suddenly, someday, they change what they want. I don't believe you to be ill-intentioned, perhaps. But my pride and my experience, I find it difficult to trust that you are offering these things without any sort of expectation of compensation or expectation for I don't know, some form of payment, whether that be monetary or otherwise.
There is an expectation. There is a quote unquote payment. But I've told you that from every moment. The payment that I expect for this help is for you to protect your people, to protect others, to use the resources I've given you to help combat whatever is troubling. That's the only expectation I have.
It sort of seems like a cop-out. You understand that it seems like a cop-out, right?
Maybe
Someone
so.
gives you a bunch of gifts and just says, go do good things with them. Go be idyllic and have a wonderful time with
I don't
supporting your
need
people.
I don't need money. If this eventually becomes a town, maybe we'll come in here to do commerce. But it's not like we're going to be asking for discounts or something. Just come and buy things from your blacksmith if you get one.
Bloody hell, if you asked for discounts, maybe I'd be a little bit better about it.
You talk about wanting an idyllic society, but when someone tries to help you, you get all suspicious and angry at them. I understand that our world is tough. And maybe, like you've been saying, this is what you've learned, to expect that people always want something in return. But if you truly want to make steps towards a perfect, safe place, then you have to take steps in all respects. And that includes trusting people. It's a double-edged blade. You know, I understand where you're coming from, but this is what I mean by places changing their ideals. They start out wanting to be idyllic and trusting, and then they get backstabbed, and they realize that they need violence. Or they want to be idyllic, but they're distrusting, but realize that they can't back up that distrust if they don't have violence. It's a hard call.
Havik, I believe there's been some miscommunication. The settlement isn't a pacifist unit, it's myself who is that pacifist unit and who comes to situations of violence with the expectation that they can be solved without the need for violence.
That is what I understand, yes.
But the resignation and acceptance that at times it is an unavoidable casualty of the world that we live in.
And yet, by your own words, you're working towards an idyllic society. So, if you want that, there are steps to be taken.
Not everybody in the world wants that same idyllic society. Some people need violence as coping mechanism. Some people just know it is their only way.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Esmund, again. I am just
No, I know, we're agreeing. I'm trying to forge some sort of agreement between us, some understanding that we, I don't know, some kind of likeness that we can relate to each other on.
So then, are you saying that you're not going to continue questioning every time I try to help?
Yeah, I suppose so. If I do that and you stop saying weird shit to my best friend in dark holes in the ground, sure.
She was talking to the ceiling, to the glowing lights. She's also saying weird shit.
She's a weird girl, but I just mean...
If I want to flirt, I can.
I'm not implying you can't, but I imagine you're quite close to some members of your companions.
Yes, your point.
I share a similar relationship with Alice. She means quite a lot to me. She told me some of the things that you said, and we do the things we do because we trust each other.
So you're offended that I told her she's a Spitfire and that I think she should take charge more?
No, not at all. She is all those things, and she should certainly do those things.
Then what are you upset about?
You sort of just made it sound like she was wrong for trusting me, I guess.
I explained to you in this conversation why I would have implied such, in my experience.
And I'm asking
leaders like you
to not do
make that sort of call.
As a favor to me. Please.
If you're going to stop being so prickly about so many things, then fine.
Evidently, I'm going to try. So if you could also try to not... I don't know.
I understand what you're saying, but just to check. In private one-on-one conversations with other people, you want me to not say vaguely negative things about you. Are you in turn not going to say vaguely negative things about me to people I considered my friends?
I will attempt to not try and talk to anybody particularly especially close to you and dissuade them from trusting you. Yes.
Hmm.
Because I understand that it would be sort of a moot point, considering they evidently seem quite loyal towards you.
Hmm. Only two of your people have ever come. Didn't seem to show any interest in the Aesorite. Do you think that you, as a leader, are at any point going to have any interest, or would you rather leave that aside just for us?
I may have an interest eventually, but for now, Alice and Tori seem content to sort of
I
learn about it, and I have enough things that I'm attempting to contend with
yes,
besides floor rocks.
I wasn't referring to you specifically. I meant more as a leadership position.
What?
In the future, do you think that your town
Mm-hmm.
is going to approach me and want to use the Aesorite as a resource beyond any gifts we might present to you?
What would be the course of action if we were to do that?
It would be a conversation I'd want to have as soon as possible, since it would be quite a drawn out one.
Hmm. Well, from what you showed us with the Acerite barriers, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't seem like a terrible means of defense without violence.
Mm-hmm. We had already offered to come and install something more permanent along that line here. I
Yes, and I
mean,
was probably being a prideful shit.
yes,
So,
I mean in the sense of you using it as
um,
a Oliver cannot come up with the right words here. A financial resource.
oh,
Something
I
with
think that
which your town will make trades for.
right. I'm sort of a self-sufficient sort. Grew up isolated, didn't have a lot
Mm-hmm.
of contact with towns. I think self-sufficiency is the name of the game when it comes to our math.
Mm-hmm.
We're sort of isolated, and I'm not trying to instate any sort of hot new currency.
Mm-hmm. Just checking.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm a communist.
I've certainly had multiple towns in the fact try to use Acerite as a bargaining chip to pay the Iron Conscription to stay
Ugh.
away.
If the Iron Conscription comes here and tries to plant down any of their flags, maybe I will get violent. I'm not a fan.
I'll make sure that they stay away from Armath. Only use it as a spot on the road.
Sure. Speaking of the Iron Conscription, but also not speaking of the Iron Conscription in any sort of way whatsoever, but vaguely. Did you want me to write him?
Wrath.
Sure.
You certainly don't have to. I had sort
Would
of
you?
assumed that you already would to confirm I was who I said I was.
I don't talk to my brother often. Less than I should, at least. It's difficult to find time to write to home when you're writing so many other things.
Right.
But I'm also asking you if you would like me to.
If you ever do write him something, feel free to make note of me. But
Are
it's
you
not pressing.
friends?
You could say that.
I'm sure if you left on good terms, he'd be happy to know that you're alright. Or alive. He's not unaccustomed to long travel, my brother.
We didn't part on good terms, but certainly not bad. Well, not bad in the sense that there were bad things between us two, but the situation itself was bad. Thus why I thought that he was dead.
Well, he's alive and has pushed me off a roof a few times.
Sounds like him.
Did you know he's allergic to, bee stings?
I wonder how you found that out.
Dancing in a field of flowers. You know, things that children should be doing. Are you implying that I dropped a beehive on my brother's head?
She doesn't reply to that, but she does kind of like tilt her head a bit and lean back in her seat, and her voice has like kind of a different tone to it. She says, "Well, I'm glad that he got to experience that." Mr. Classy, I really should get going.
Oh, cry!
We have a lot of construction going on as well, and enjoyable as this was, I do have responsibilities to get back to.
I'm sure. Good luck.
To you as well. You know where to find us if you need anything.
Of course.
She pats the back of her chair and turns to leave your office.
Oh, wait.
Mm.
There's a shelf
Mm-hmm.
in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It's like little small shelves, like 2 by 2. Sorry, like 1 by 1 little alcoves.
Mm-hmm.
That were previously in Esmund's little tent.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes over to it and he kind of like flits through uh the uh various like scrolled up pieces of parchment,
Mm-hmm.
and he pulls one out and it's fairly large. And he goes over to Havoc and holds it out to her. It's like about like 3 feet long
Mm-hmm.
piece of paper. And he holds it out to her. Yeah. If Powell's still talking to your friend, he'll probably want to, I don't know. It's his most recent sort of scout, so to say. Uh,
Sure.
sure.
And she'll reach out and take it from you. So does this
Uh,
mean you're not so opposed to him being taken out to train with us?
I suppose not.
Good. The kid's quick-witted.
He doesn't get it from his father.
No offense to you, but you certainly don't seem such a flighty sort. Or in a
Well,
different sense.
yeah, well. You know, getting old just does things to you.
Mm. I'm sure stiff joints can certainly be a bitch. You should stretch
Why,
them more often.
everybody thinks I'm so old. I'm 24.
I was referring to what you keep tucked away. They're gonna get stiff if you don't use them every now and then.
Wouldn't be able to use them at all if I kept wearing that necklace.
Like I explained, we've never really dealt with an ASMR in this situation before, so apologies. It's
You didn't know.
certainly interesting, though. If you
Well,
or the other ASMR ever wanted to come by, we'd certainly be curious to try and figure out why it had that effect.
sure. We'll see. Get home safe, Havoc.
Have a good day. And she turns and leaves, her cape kind of fluttering behind her.
To be clear, what he gave her
Mm-hmm.
is one of the copies of the most recent updates to a map he is making of Armath
Hell
and
yeah.
the surrounding area, like topographical scaled map.
Hell yeah. Thanks.
Yeah,
Very cool.
he's a cartographer, Your Honor. And that's that. I still don't like her.
um, I am curious by a comment you out of character made. You commented at one point like, "Oh, I'll cry."
Yeah,
Was that because of what she implied about Hayes, or what she implied about herself?
both. Because it felt like like she was like genuinely glad he got to have that, but also kind of like it was bitter, you know, bittersweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We shake hands.
But she has this like consistency to her where she doesn't really flinch from this one sort of uh like sort of wavelength that she's on.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like this little dip in that.
Yeah.
Whereas Esmond's like all over the place with his emotions. She's very level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. It's
She's very level and hard to read.
yeah, it's repression versus feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And Esmond feels everything and she's very she's like a wall.
She says, "You do not perceive me."
Yes, and Esmond says you will know when I'm pissed off and everything that I'm feeling.
We love to hear it.
Yeah.
We say.
I put my hand in your mouth like a cat.
Okay, Chimchar.
I do what I want.
Do you want to have a conversation with Erland or no?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
I do have to record it.
Are you asking if we do have to record it, or are you asking not to record it?
Do we have to record it?
I can do a separate recording and not post that one, but I do like to have recordings just for me to double check on.
That's yes, please.
Okay. Then for now, this will end here. Hello? What's
Bye.
Hello? Hello?